What's up, everybody? This is Michael, and you're listening to the Heavyweights Podcast. Our goal is to have honest conversations about weights and expectations that specifically men carry with them in our society today. So, if you're a man who desires to live with integrity and wants to listen in on some real guys having real conversations and hopefully learn a thing or two, keep listening.
Man, dude, see, that is exactly what I'm talking about.
We need it.
That's exactly
That's
what I'm
huge.
talking about, man. I know. Yeah, man, there's just like, and so I guess that's our good starting point. Like, I really, like, I was like, I feel like that's the place we got to start. Like, you know, the whole concept of heavyweights and Michael and you guys having a relationship and a friendship already formed. And Michael sharing his heart for what we're trying to do with the Heavyweights Podcast, just to be a resource and an outlet for men. There's so many heavy burdens that we deal with. And we talked about this on our drive up here from Springfield to be with you, is like people are, you know, men, women, society, we're looking for balance. We're looking for a better way. We're looking for a path. And really, we need to be looking for a firm foundation because the path and the peace and the offloading of a lot of these heavy weights is going to come from having a sure, solid foundation. And so I just appreciate you guys taking a second before we get into our talk of just like laying the foundation, just setting our feet on solid ground, on the rock of literally of God's word and His Spirit. So
What's crazy about that is we just went through a series with my high school students on the rock from 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 4. It says, as you come to the living stone, who is rejected by men but chosen by God, you also as living stones are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices accepted to God, Jesus Christ. And essentially, we broke down that word living stone as cornerstone. And when I introduced it to the students, I said the cornerstone determined the design and the direction of how the house would be built. And later on that verse, Peter was literally like, those who reject the cornerstone are like people who stumble and fall. Because if you didn't have the cornerstones in the house would literally fall over. And I asked my students, I'm like, so what are you building your house on? If you're not building your house on the Lord, if you're not building your house on who He is, if it's in money, if it's in success, if it's getting that girl, if it's being known as something, you gonna stumble, you gonna fall. But when you build your house on the Lord, He's gonna keep you. And so we literally just went through that, like about how important it is to have a solid foundation to fall on. Because at the end of the day, if God ain't your foundation, then it's you. And there's a certain weight that we not meant to carry.
Yeah, we're not built for that.
You're not built for that.
No.
You're not cut like that. You're not different. You know, there's a certain things that we are just not meant to carry. And I just think about all the dudes, all the people who feel like they have to be God. Because if you don't have a God, that means you are God.
Well, that was the basis of this Heavyweights Podcast anyways, the conversation that we were having, where we're talking about some of the pressures that we were feeling as husbands and soon-to-be dads and new dads and just that's what this whole idea was birthed out of. And I remember that conversation you and I had in our office, and we were writing stuff on the board. Like, this is all the stuff that we have to worry about. And if at our core we're not we don't have a solid foundation to stand on, it just all crumbles. There's no such thing as like balancing all this. It's everything's gonna pull for your attention, and if you're not solid, something's gonna pull you over.
100%.
Or something else is gonna pull you over, and you're just it's gonna crumble.
And it's so funny. We talked about this last night. Even in the beginning of all humanity, when the devil was tempting Eve to eat the fruit, he said that the Lord, like, you won't surely die, but the Lord knows that you'll be like him, that you'll be like God. And he tempted man to be something that he knew man wasn't designed to be to begin with. And so when you think about somebody and you think about man and you think about, okay, let's just say you're not following the Lord. Okay, he's not your number one. Okay, if the Lord isn't my healer, that means I have to be. If the Lord isn't my provider, that means I have to be. If the Lord isn't my protector, that means I have to be.
You're drawing from a finite well.
Like you're drawing for it's not gonna last.
Yeah.
And to that person, it's like, okay, let's evaluate, let's reflect, since we're so logical. Okay, has your way healed you from the unforgiveness that you feel for your father? Has your way helped you overcome your insecurities? Has all the money that you've made been able to solve all the problems that you have? Or the destination and the goals that you reach? Are you happy? Did it work?
Yeah.
Because if it did, tell me. I want to know.
Yeah.
Because following the Lord is different.
And that's been a recurring theme in conversations that I've been having just here over the past several months. Is I've had people say to me, like, there just seems to be a peace and something kind of different, a freedom in your spirit. And like people that, Jeff Wasserman and Kyle have the Protein Bros podcast that I came up here to do.
Yeah. I remember that.
And it was a great conversation, but they were like, something's different, like we've known you a long time since I was in my late 20s.
Right.
And they were like, we just see, a difference. There's like an ease with which you seem to be operating from. And that was kind of what I was saying. And it really speaks to what you were saying is like, when I try to go inward and find the strength, the resolve, the wisdom, the cleverness, the cool guy, the tough guy, the whatever, I feel like that persona that I need to project to get me through whatever circumstance. It's like sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't, but it's just kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
But there's never been a time ever where I've prayerfully considered, where I've been trying to die to my flesh and really ask God to fill my spirit, that I haven't continually found a way, a path. And I love the passage was it in Peter? First Peter?
First Peter.
But it really ties into, it makes you understand verses like delight yourself in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. It ties into Psalm 23 that everybody hears at funerals and everything of the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing, right? So, but what I love about that is as I'm pursuing him, his goodness, his mercy, it follows me. All the good stuff chases me, right, as I chase him. So I love it, man. So how have you been? So like we talked about, you guys knew each other from going to church. Because we got to because for people that are watching, like they may not realize like the connections of how we kind of all got connected.
Yeah, Tre's come up multiple times in all the other episodes. And so, I mean, yeah, it begs some explanation. And we were talking about it on the way here, and I was like, I don't remember meeting Tre. It was like, we just kind of like slowly
I said I asked him, I said, how did y'all become friends? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, dude, but those are the best. Those are just typically the deepest bonds that you have with people, where you're like, I don't know, it just feels like we were always tight.
Dude, here's what I remember. I don't even know if I ever shared this with you. This is actually kind of, I just remembered it. So we both worked. Well, I was coming on staff at Hill City, a church called Hill City, as a resident. And he was just rolling off. So we literally just missed each other. And at the time, I was doing Season 7. I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know nothing about no money. Didn't know nothing about nothing. And there was a bunch of people that were like, you need to hit up Michael. He'll be able to help you. And this is when we had all the Venmo transactions. Do you remember that?
Dude, public service announcement. if you have a business, don't use Venmo.
Don't use Venmo.
Just stop.
It was literally, like I said, I had no idea what to do, but they're
No,
like,
it's
if you
great.
just give it to Michael, he'll like be able to help you. And
Good, do your taxes
Yes.
with Venmo statements.
literally,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I give them all this Venmo, and they're asking me questions, and I'm like, doing numbers, and like I'm like, I've always been afloat, so I mean, I don't know the difference between margin. Like I literally don't know anything. So it's like I go over there, and I remember, and this is when I like gained a lot of respect for him, because when people love you for real, they tell you the truth, right? You don't want to hear it or not. And we had what would have been, I know, an uncomfortable conversation for him, because I'm this bright, enthusiastic guy trying to do business the right way, trying to take a step into learning something. And it basically got to a point, he was like, yo, I love you, dude, but you like right now you can't like afford this. Like you literally can't afford this. He said, I would rather just help you out like for free. But like I know you're trying to do the right thing, but it's like I just don't think you're genuinely going to be able to afford this. And I was just like, I mean, it was humbling, but I wasn't like sad. But I was like, dang. I just kept thinking about how hard it must have. Because how does a man tell another man, hey, you can't afford something that's gonna help your business? Like it was like wicked.
Well, that's why, see, my wife didn't have a problem telling me that.
It's like
He's like, I know you want all that, but you can't afford it.
You can't afford it.
Like, you can get one runner right now, but you can't get 10.
100%. But that I just knew that his integrity was strong. It was high.
Yeah.
Like it was just like I didn't have to question that. And like I thought it would be like, cause the devil plays tricks. There's this weird dynamic. I'm 3 maybe.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah,
23. I'm
23,
young.
24.
I'm still trying to figure stuff out. I've had success, and so when you hear that, it's really easy to be like discouraged and be like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
absolutely.
I was like I could have really went to a different place and been like, not been cool with him for him telling me that, but it was just like.
Well, I would say you're only as strong as you are honest. So, the willingness to be honest, it demonstrates love, but it also builds strength. And
trust,
This is the proof of that, however many years or how much time later.
100%. And we didn't really know each other like that, too.
Exactly.
It was
That's
just
just,
like, it was at the beginning.
No, I know. Yeah,
So
I know.
So he was like, hey, man, we got to figure something else out, because you're not going to be able to, like, afford this. Try to do it this way for a while, and then if this works, come back, and then we can figure it out later.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I was just like, so that's where we actually first met.
Okay.
And I remembered that, like, that was our moment. Because sometimes it may be a thing. I don't know if it's like that, but I feel like maybe not y'all generation as much, like your age, because people usually tell the truth. My generation, dudes don't tell dudes how they feel to their face, negative or positive truth, as much. Like it's like a thing that's just like, you could feel some type of way about me, but I would never know. I could sense it.
Yeah.
But I'll never know, because people don't have them straight on conversations.
Unpack that for me.
So-
Why, like, explain it more, and why do you think that is?
That's a good question.
Man, I think.
So explain the concept again.
So the concept.
You said dudes our generation are more, they're more apt to do what?
They're more apt to. I want to be very clear and specific with my words.
No, I mean,
I think
Like being straightforward. Like
it's straightforward, but it's also like some people don't want to know the truth. Put it like that. Like you don't want to know that you suck. So it's like it's in the essence of like a dude who think he already fast can't get faster because you think you fast, but you slow. You slow.
Yeah.
Like you see it, I see it, I know it.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I also think too, the Bible talks about this.
That's so good.
We all know this verse: "For God so loved the world, that He gave His only Son, that whoever should believe in Him should not perish but have everlasting life." After that verse, it says, "For God did not come to condemn the world, but to save the world." I think most dudes don't step into the light, quote unquote, of truth, because either life has taught them, or they think they're gonna get responded to with condemnation.
that's right. Yeah.
When in actuality, I'm trying to save you from this darkness, because the darkness is actually what's killing you for real.
Yeah.
So if you would just step into the light, you will be able to see that there's freedom, and that I'm actually trying to save you.
It makes me think about, so you guys know Vinny plays basketball. So Vin is my son that's 16.
Dog. Certified dog, certified. Vin, you know how I feel about you, boy. You certified. They need to put you in the lineup some more. They ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. You ain't gotta say it. He not gonna say it.
No.
You need to be out on that court.
This is my point, and I'm glad you said that, because what I love that his coach said at the beginning of the season is there's expectations that players and parents and everybody has. And the expectation is always that I'm a dog, I'm a beast, I should 100%. Be in the lineup more.
100%.
But then there's reality. There's the reality of what the team and the coach sees. And what is God trying to say to us in this little lesson is that man makes his plans, God orders our steps, right? So there is expectations, and then there's reality. Why do you think that that's a meme and people resonate with that so much? Because in our mind's eye, we have New Year's Eve all planned out, and then it does not go as we planned out. It sucked, right? So I think there's so much power, though, in two things. Number one, letting go, and number two, stepping into the light. Because in the light, you can kind of see what is it that needs to be done, or what is God trying to teach me in this season that will ultimately be for my good and his benefit. Vin has learned. Vin's a dog, and I'll tell you, son, you are certified, because what I see my son understanding at a young age is that he has to, again, just like on the wall over there. I just took a picture of it in the studios here. It says trust the hold the vision, trust the process. And so you can have in your mind's eye what you want to achieve, but there's just the reality of, okay, God, is this a season where you want me to be still? Is there a season where I need to prune and cut back some weeds? Is this a season where I need to be building and laying a foundation and working and toiling, and how much of each should I be doing? But kind of going back to our original concept is, if you're just on your own without godly counsel, so how does a young man find his way? When I say young man, I mean mankind, woman, man, old, young. How do you find your way? It's through God's word. It's through prayer. It's through godly counsel. It's through community, right? Because you'll gain insight, you'll gain perspective, you'll gain wisdom, you'll gain discernment, and understand maybe there's a way that I should be going. Because again, just like God's word said, there's a way that a man thinks is right in his heart, but ultimately it leads to death. There's a way in our logical brains that's like, this seems like the really obvious business decision, but ultimately that ain't it. And you should have trusted that little spirit gut feeling that you had that was like, this logically seems like the way to go, but ultimately it's probably it's gonna be my destruction.
I see that in business all the time, man. That we're in a season of hiring right now, and there's applicants coming across the day or my desk every day. Applications, resumes, personalities, and all of those things come into play. And there's been people over the past week that have been like, they check all the boxes. I meet with them, and there's just something, you know what I mean? And you can't even put your finger on it, but it's just like, I have this gut feeling that there's something not right there. And then I sit on it. There's an I sit on it, and then if I'm patient, it works itself out. Like God works, and they take another job, or they blow up on you in an interview because you're wasting their time. And it's like, okay, thank you for doing that. Like that. Okay, thank you. You know what I mean? And we move on. But that's the truth. Like if I were to just go and grab at what I thought I needed, because they check some of these boxes and ignore that move, that whatever that gut feeling is, like I'm just setting myself up for more pain.
So I heard something of what you were saying, and I heard something what you were saying. Because the question I think it was is we were talking about the light, stepping into the light. What does it look like for a young man to step into truth? Right? And then you're talking about how they check all the boxes, but there's something missing. And I think to kind of loop it back to like what it is about our generation, I feel like I think there's a loss of the intangibles, the things you can't see. I was having this conversation with my boss. His name is Zach Green. Shout out Zach Green, ZG, baby. You know Z. You do know Z.
Yeah. I love Zach.
It's
funny
Missouri.
guy.
It's Missouri.
It's Missouri.
Zach makes me laugh. He's funny.
He's nuts.
Yeah.
But I was like, he put language to something that I think, I can't say men of character or men of purpose understand, but kind of what we were talking about. And it's the difference between a manager and an owner. Taking extreme ownership. I think the root of young men not stepping into the truth is because when they don't want to take ownership of that truth. Because when you take ownership and you own it, not that you have power over it, but it shows that you are willing to step into the light and step into truth. When you're a manager, it's like how you treat stuff. It's like, for instance, if I come in your business or I come in your business, I need to treat it like it's mine. Like, you're the owner. But if I'm coming in and I'm managing something, right, the attitude of a manager of it is it's not my job. As long as it doesn't kill anybody, it's fine. As long as it's not too messy, it's all good. As long as it works out for me and I put in my hours and I go home and it's affecting me, then I'm straight. And if you think about how men who don't have the Lord live their lives, that's how you go from self-seeking. Because managers are managing what's going on, but they're not taking responsibility for what happens based off their decision.
That was the word that was in my head, is responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to take because we see the weight that comes with it.
100%.
Like, we want to avoid the weight and the pain. Nobody will take responsibility for anything.
It's a weight. There's a weight. There is a weight. It's not like jeez,
I'm not pointing the finger at anybody.
Right.
I avoid responsibility. I avoid
1000%.
making decisions.
100%.
I avoid doing things I know I should do
100%.
because of the weight of that responsibility.
Mm-hmm. It's heavy.
And when I'm drawing from that finite well, I'm zapped, and I will coast on the couch in the evening, even though I know I have a responsibility to my family to do X, Y, and Z. I abdicate that responsibility. I avoid that responsibility. And I see that you're talking about in the younger generation
100%.
when it's all about optics and what you see online, and it's way easier to avoid the responsibility and make it look like you are taking responsibility.
And also too, I would even say too, old heads ain't talking about how they're not talking about the joy of the weight.
Right.
They just talk about the negative. Like, when you talk about your marriage, does it make me want to get married? When you talk about being a dad, does it make me want to be a father? Or are you talking about, of course, your wife don't like you. You don't like you. You don't like your marriage. You don't like what's going on. So how is somebody supposed to, how, if I'm looking at all the men talk about responsibility and the negative side of it, and no one's talking about the fruit, the honor, the patience, the fruits that you get, why would I want to get married? Why do I want to be committed to one woman?
Yeah.
Why do I want to step into purpose? All you talk about is the burden. Do you like your life?
Yeah. Dude.
Like, do you like your life?
Dude, and that's what when we were pulling in here, Jeremy was watching Emil dance, and I was watching Jeremy watch Emil dance. I'm like, the joy of watching another man watch his daughter perform, like, that makes me so excited. I have 4 daughters. Like, I'm going to have so much more fun than you.
Yes,
Like,
I mean, yeah. But
you're not like, I got to take her to practice.
Yeah.
You're like, wow.
Like, I'm sad.
you know
I'm
what
sad
I'm
I'm not
saying?
there right now,
There's
and I'm
nothing
watching.
appealing.
You know?
but I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, I think this is a great way to kind of loop into parenthood, because when you have a child, you know, and we are charged as Christ followers to train a child up in the ways they should go, we kind of skip over the train. Like, we've been in the fitness space, the training space, the athlete space, and like, that process is not always just sunshine and rainbows. It's hard work. And so, you know, being willing to do the hard work does what? It allows you to enjoy the fruit. And so I smile when I watch my daughter dance, and they just crush their duo, and it's just like on point and it's flawless because everybody sees this 2-minute dance and they don't see the 2 months of daily 5-hour practices and all of the work. I mean, you want to talk about somebody that's certified. Emil and Elise, my daughter. I always tell everybody, Vin has games every day almost, and so it's naturally going to be kind of more like daily. Emil has like a dance comp like 4 times a year, and what people don't realize is that for every 1 hour that Vin spends in the gym, Emil probably spends 3 in the studio training for these little like 2-3 minute routines. And so but all of that really leads, all that just to say, like, I think the hardest thing as a parent can be at times you don't want your kids to deal with disappointment and failure and loss and all of that. So why is there such an aversion to responsibility? Because if we parent our kids so as to not let them encounter that good stress, right?
Because this is, I can't say this is a Christian thing, but there's this homeschool movement going on. And I understand the heart behind homeschooling. I mean, when I think about me and my wife, we are very intentional about making sure the main character or the main trainer of our kid is going to be me and her. And if there's any way that we can make an environment where he's getting poured into by us primarily, we're going to do that. And we're not just going to give him to anybody either. Like, if we're not equally yoked in some sort of way, or we don't feel like we have the same values, I want to be able to drop my kid off at the house and not worry about it. And I want to be able to know that if I'm checking you on this person you finna go to, he finna check you on this too, like he's your uncle. You know, that's because it took villages back in the day. But I think there is a movement, and I understand the heart behind it, but it's almost like counteractive. There is this movement of removal is how I protect. Like, I can't put my kid in public school because they'll be exposed to things that I'm not ready for them to be exposed for. And I get the heart about that, but I would rather put them in the fire, train them while they're in the fire, or at least somehow navigate what's going on. Because we didn't even have that. Like, the parents that are getting raised got exposed to things that they may not want to be exposed to. And most people turned out okay. I went to public school. Did you go to public school?
Yeah.
Did you go to public school? You know what I'm saying? And we have kids following the Lord, and that's something that we want to protect them from. But removing something is not always the way. Sometimes it's an inhibitor. That's why we was in college playing football, and we knew, oh, you went to Christian school, didn't you? Oh, you went to Catholic school, didn't you? Because you wasn't exposed to anything, so it almost feeds the craving of wanting to get exposed to it more.
And I love what you're saying. It's not the avoidance of the adversity that you need. It's to be strong enough when that adversity comes.
100%. How you gonna train the kid if ain't no adversity coming? Like, what? If you've never faced it, I would rather you face this with me. While we're here.
And it's in its training. It's really just the idea of discernment means to understand. Like, okay, that's not the way, that's the way. And so if you have to have the dark to see the light. I feel like so Kyle and Jeff with Protein Bros were trying to pin me down. They were like, what's changed? What was the one thing? And I was just like, so much, how did you find like the right path? And I'm like, sometimes finding the right path just means like knowing for sure that's the wrong
100%.
path. Like, you fail so hard. We talked about that on the way up here. Is like, sometimes it's just like, you don't want to see somebody get to a rock bottom, but you realize that in doing that might lead them in a better way, So
you can't take away their wilderness season. You can't. The first thing that happened to the Lord when he said, "This is my son, you are well pleased." This is what people. He left. The Spirit led him to the wilderness. It literally says in the passage that the Spirit came down like a dove.
Yep.
So let's just say it's being literal. Let's just say the Spirit of God was literally a dove, and it came down, and it said the Spirit led him to the wilderness. That literally could mean Jesus saw this dove, and the dove started flying, and he just followed the dove into the wilderness. That's literally what that could mean. And it's like, and he had to go before that, before he could go to his ministry. He had to be tempted with these things and to overcome these things before he was able to experience any fruit in his ministry. And it's where you get closest to God is in the wilderness season.
And I think it ties back to something you said. That experience gives us a Savior that understands and empathizes with our struggle.
100%.
And what you were saying about parenting is, I'd rather you go through the struggle with me.
100%.
So I can empathize with you. I can be there with you. I can go through that with you. And isn't that like, as a parent, isn't that the image of the Heavenly Father 100%. That we want to present for our kids?
And the other side of that, I can't say a lot. I don't know. I'm not anybody's parents. But as a parent, do you show your kids your wilderness season? Do you show them that you struggle? I just want to know, did you ever deal with this the same way that I did? I know that I'm supposed to be tough and solid. I get all that.
Yeah.
But when I'm not, what did you do?
Yeah.
How do I walk through this? How do I navigate this?
Caitlin and I were just talking about this because she is a Enneagram 1 and perfectionist. And we see some of those tendencies in Quincy. And then we see some like defeatist, like give up mentality that we don't want to see in Quincy, right? But it's because she's like, I just can't get it right or something. Like when she doesn't get a concept from school immediately, she gets frustrated. And bless her heart, like she's incredibly smart and she's getting these things at a rapid pace. But we see that, and I think that's something that I had heard on another podcast of like, especially as mom and dad, and maybe even more so as a dad, you have to be willing to do things in front of your kids that you're not good at.
100%.
You have to be willing to fail in front of them so that they see it's okay to fail. And I think even like just doing silly things that like dancing and things that I'm just like not comfortable with dancing, and I'm not a good singer. Some of the things that she's interested in that I'm like terrible at, I do them anyway because I'm terrible at them. And I'm like, well, whatever, I sucked, we move on and I can still have a good time. And I think that example is showing her, and that's something that you're talking about, is like we have to be willing to show our kids that it's okay to not be perfect, that failure is how we learn and how we get better at things.
100%.
I always talk about the fact that, like, when I look at my parents' marriage and the dysfunction that they went through for a season and my dad leaving and moving out, seeing the reconciliation and then the fruit of that in our home, and then like the ongoing growth and pursuit, and then of each other and of a deeper, stronger relationship with our Lord, like that to me is like modeling exactly what we're talking about. Is like there's a vulnerability and an ownership to be like, this is where I failed. I'm acknowledging that. That's how you reconcile, and then from there, now we can rebuild, and things can grow, and dead branches can be cut away.
And that's what you're talking about with Emil on the way up here, right? Of the same example of when the recognition of your Ambien addiction and how that impacted her, and how that relationship's taking time to kind of mend.
Yeah, like, so just giving context. So for my wife had sudden death, and you know about the heart condition that she had. And so after she, Jenny Shine. So after she experienced that, night terrors, waking up in the middle of the night, checking on her, really disruptive to obviously my sleep. So innocently enough was prescribed Ambien back in 2008, and really just use it always as prescribed. But just even the adversary of our souls will use anything that can come between our walk with him and our relationships around us to tear it down. And over time, you take Ambien at night, using it just for as needed and as directed to go to sleep. But there's like that 30-minute window where you're just not present, forgetting conversations or not really being aware. And I mean, I told Michael, I think about the compounding effect of 15 years or 14 years or whatever of those 30-minute windows. That's a lot of time, right? And thank God that he's faithful, that even despite our failings and our shortcomings and our short-sightedness, that he's still doing a good work, right? But in my recognition of that, there was a lot of relational things that needed to be built. There was healing personally that needed to take place. There was a withdrawal from a good night's rest for 2 weeks. And God was so faithful, because what was I left with? I was left with my thoughts. I was left with just me, completely sober and sound of mind, praying and speaking to God and just going, God, I may only get 3 or 4 hours of sleep tonight. Help it to restore me and fulfill me and be enough. And it was. Every night I woke up the next day bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, even if I only slept a couple hours. And gradually that got better. And but initially I was aware of kind of this rift between Vincent and I was aware of the rift between Emil and I. That in the evenings, it was like I was always trying to connect, but they kind of knew. And that's really what brought me to my senses was one night, Jenny saying, hey, this is disruptive. And we'd had that argument and that conversation a million times. And so I go downstairs after I kind of come out of that 30-minute fog and go downstairs to genuinely apologize to Vin, but I still excused myself. Like, this is just what Dad's got to do. He saved your mom's life, So, right? So Vin says, hey, it's all good. Like, I'm not mad. It doesn't even bother me. And the next day, Jenny's driving Vin to school, and she's like, why didn't you have my back? Like, that was an opportunity to tell your dad that this is annoying. And he's like, why would I? Nothing's going to change. Yeah, right? Jenny told me that, and I sent, oh, dude, I remember exactly where I was. I sent a text, Jenny, Emil, Vincent. I don't want anything to come between a healthy, God-honoring relationship with you and in my walk with you, Jenny, as my wife. And you guys are my heart. It's core to extremity. Like, if my walk here first isn't good, and then my walk with my wife and my kids isn't good and healthy and God-honoring, then what's the point? What good does it do me to posture like my business is good, my fitness is good, my money's right? Like, what good does it do that if inside my soul is burning down?
What is the profit of man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
But I think it would do us a lot of good to really stop. And when you talk about self-assessing and self-reflecting, I think that is the trick right now, that we all, no matter whether you're an old head or whether you're a young person, life is becoming so quickly sped up, and we're swiping, we're on to the next project. And where is there time for really true self-reflection, self-assessment? How am I really doing? Where am I really at? What do I really feel? What's really bothering me? What really actually brings me joy? Man, the saddest thing this morning, we stopped at a gas station to get gas. I go inside, get my coffee, my little breakfast burrito. And this dude, he's standing behind me, and I'm like, oh, my bad, man. Am I in your way? He's like, no, I don't even know what I'm going on. He grabs his coffee, and he goes up. He's in front of me. And the lady asks how he's doing. He's like, I don't know. He goes, I don't even know. Every day's the same. I just work 60 hours a week. And, I mean, I heard he was miserable. And I mean, just even in that moment, I was just like, man, I'm just praying this guy finds a better way, And I understand that, like, the things that need to be done, and that's something we've kind of tried to unpack, is like the weight of provision and all of that. But I think that was, I told you, like, after the conversation I had on another podcast that I was on called The Richest Men in Town, my mom listened to it, and she was like, there just seems to be she said, I learned a lot. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you learned like from that conversation. She was like, I just realize how anxious and sped up I am, and I see in you like just this peace and this freedom, and I feel that. I sense that in my soul right now, this ease about like I don't feel that I'm trying, and it really does coincide with, you know, months of not taking Ambien anymore. I just feel like that branch has been cut off, and I feel that I don't have to. I think that was a compartment where I was like kind of hiding something, you know, and so I really wasn't me. And I'm finding now that in letting go of that, and that's really the lesson, what I'm trying to say, is those things that you acknowledge that you're brave enough to, again, you're only as strong as you are honest.
Bring out into the light.
So what you're able to really, truly self-assess and stop and go, because you can't self-assess on the fly when you're going. Right? But as you are able to acknowledge those things that you got to cut out, God will, you're making margin for growth.
Yeah. So what are some tools, I guess, for self-reflection that we know? I'm asking the question with one answer in mind, but I didn't know, practically speaking, right? Like, how do we get out of that? How do we get out of that cycle of, man, I'm working 60 hours a week. I feel like I'm trying to do all the right things, and there's not time. I got kids, you know, there's not time for self-reflection. I wanted to just kind of pose that question, so that there's some practicality to what we're talking about.
I think one of the first things that I always look at is like a math problem, like solving the equation. And so you can start from the beginning, or you can look at what the answer is and work backwards.
Yeah.
But I've talked about this before. Our pastor at North Point, Jeremy Johnson, I love the way he framed this idea. He said, take any one of your daily practices, continue to play it out if you just keep going down that path to its worst possible outcome. And then decide, okay, is that, so like for people that just feel like they're stuck on that kind of that merry-go-round, it's like, play it out, continue to play it out. So you just work 60 hours a week and you die, and then you're on your deathbed and you're like, I wish I would have made more time for me personally, for my fitness, for my family, for XYZ. Yeah. And it really comes down to me of a recognition of what are your priorities. And if you don't find, this man clearly didn't sound as though he was getting fulfillment out of what he was doing. Yeah. So, yeah, like what do you do there? Yeah. You know, do you take time to pause?
Yeah, just kind of existing and floating. And one of the things, what I was thinking of from a very basic biblical context of Sabbath, like our cultural annihilation of Sabbath has and will continue to destroy men and families. Like this whole inability for us to slow down, stop for a day. It doesn't have to be a Sunday. It could be a Friday afternoon to a Saturday afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, but for you, the importance of that, even conceptually, the importance of stopping and resting is like I said, it's been annihilated by our culture because of this productivity, efficiency, go get yours mentality. If you're stopping, then somebody else is outworking you mentality, right? There was the whole the story of the two. Have you heard that story of the two guys that were cutting down trees? There was these two guys that they both worked 8 hours a day. And all they did was just like chop wood, and they would get up 8 o'clock, chop wood all day, go home at 5 o'clock, and then but one of them would stop working in the middle of the day for an hour, and he was consistently chopping more wood than the other guy, and the other guy was like, man, what the heck's going on? Like, I'm working an hour longer than you, and I don't understand how you're still able to like cut more wood than me. Like, what are you doing for an hour that you're producing more? He's like, oh, I'm sharpening my axe.
Sounds like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, sounds like Chick-fil-A. Yeah, but he's like, I'm stopping and I'm sharpening my axe. Like that's what we need to do. That's sharpening our axe can look like like self-reflection. It could be iron sharpens iron, right? It could be spending time having good conversations with men like you guys. And
I was caught off guard when we sat down. So we did the last episode that we recorded. We sat down with our spouses. So I had my wife and you had your wife, and yeah, it was really dope. But I was kind of caught off guard when you said something about like me going to a movie with Jenny and the kids or something, or with Jenny.
Yeah.
Like you said, you were like surprised because it was like in the middle of the day on a work week or whatever.
Yeah, I texted you. I'm like, hey, I don't even know what it was about, but you're like, hey, I can't talk right now. It's 2:00 on a Wednesday, and I'm at the movies with my kids and my wife, and I'm like, who does that? Like, this is productive time. What are you doing?
And it is, and it's funny. I'm going to tell you guys, I get this a lot from our members. We open at 5 a.m. Our business hours are 5 a.m. till like 7:30 at night. And whenever I go in to coach till 5 a.m., they act like it's such like a big deal that I'm there. Like, oh, you know, like you're never here or whatever. And I'm like, dude, like I maximize. You're talking about efficiency and management of your work and your rest and prioritizing like what's critical to the mission, sharpening your freaking axe, right? So for me, what's critical to my mission? I mean, Jenny and the kids, like that is a foundation, right? That's like right after my walk with the Lord, that's a big part. A lot of people, even faithful believers would say that, but their calendar doesn't look like that. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to make my, you know, it's one of my good friends, Chance Potts, he always says, show me your checkbook and your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. And I'm like, that's actually really good, you know, like, and I think, I don't know, like you said, man, it's such a beautiful thing. I told you the C.S. Lewis quote of like, when the whole world is running towards the cliff, the one person running in the opposite direction is they're going to think he's crazy, you know? But it's everything in God's words, all of God's precepts is countercultural, you know, it's we are supposed to be in the world, but not of it. And it's going to go against the grain, you know?
That's why he tells you to think upon things not of this world. Think of things that are honorable, that are pure, that are righteous, not worrying about what it's. When we kept talking about, like, I'm visualizing this anxious person, and I'm visualizing this dude who doesn't know what he's doing. He said he's working 60 hours a week. The first thing I was asking him, do you want to work 60 hours a week? Yeah. Like, who told you got to work 60 hours a week?
No.
Where are you getting that from? Like, I feel like, this has been my story at least, there are so many things that I felt like I had to do that weren't coming from the Lord. It was something in my brain that was like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And all that weariness, the backpack we're talking about, it could be filled with things that no one told you had to do, and you don't even want to do. They don't even give you life. And you're convinced that you have to do them. This is what my dad always did. This is how I've seen the successful people always do it. And you throwing all this stuff and you carrying stuff and it's not even you. And the Lord has you on the journey and you reach into the backpack to get all the tools that you needed for the journey and none of them fit. Because the journey he has you on and the life you living right now don't match up. And so you're sitting here like, what am I supposed to do? Like what's going on? And then also, I don't want to get really preachy here, but I would tell the person something real practical: find the Lord immediately. Seek God fast. See, we don't.
That's not preachy.
It's like it really is like when the Lord made man, he made it before it was Eve. It was man and it was the Lord. And yes, he gave man duty. He gave man purpose. He gave him jobs. But the man's energy and his ability to do that job was directly connected to the Lord. And I think men have been convinced that you have to find fuel outside of the Lord. And so, but you don't understand that your fuel is directly connected to the Lord. Like we were designed to protect, to do, to work, I mean, it's in our DNA. Men were designed to work. What we weren't designed to is to be fueled outside of the Lord. That's not what we were designed to do. This is crazy. This could be wrong. We had this conversation at Team Taco.
No,
about our wives.
It was at Ty and
Timber.
Yeah,
and
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't even know this is true. It's just an epiphany. And we were I was sitting there, and you know how the Lord always uses marriage and Christ and how he loved the church like combined, like they're similarly. Like he talks about how Jesus is the head, the man is the head, and Jesus, you're supposed to love your wife as you love the church. So Jesus loved the church, like that whole dynamic. And I was actually going through something in my personal life where I felt like the Lord was calling me to trust him in some areas, and I knew it was. And it was like every time I would go to get to like this line, right, I get ready, like, yeah, you're right, this makes sense, I hear you, and I get ready to go jump off, and I just couldn't jump off. Like for whatever reason, there was some sort of block there. And there was this psalm, I don't remember which one it was. I want to say it was 55, but it was when David had just had sex with Bathsheba. For context, David was a king. His nation was out in war, and one of his best friends was like the leaders of the war. He didn't go to war with them. He stayed back at the house, and he sees this guy's wife taking a shower, and he sleeps with her. And so he wouldn't get caught. He calls back his best friend from war, kills him off, so no one knows, and he gets the girl pregnant. That, like, naturally, that's what he did to hide it.
A man after God's own heart, right?
A man after God's own heart. And this psalm is the prayer that he prayed to God post that happening. And the first thing he said is, according to your steadfast love. It's almost like I'm trying to hold you to your word. So let's say you tell me you're the most loving person that ever existed. You'll always love me. And I've messed up. And I say, Jeremy, according to your love, have mercy on me. That's kind of what he said to the Lord. And I was sitting there, I'm asking, how do you do that? What did you know about God that I didn't know? Like, how did you know that you could say, after doing something like that, you could go to the Lord and know, according to your steadfast love, have mercy on me. According to your faithfulness and your mercy, have mercy on me. I was like, and I sat there, I'm like, oh my gosh. David felt safe enough with the Lord, and the Lord was trying to tell me in that time, bingo. He was like, the reason you can't trust me is because you don't think I'm safe.
You don't believe
that I'm safe.
Yeah, that I love you that much.
That I love you that much. So I'm going to prove to you that I know that and show you that I am safe. I'm going to give you the assurance you need to even trust me. So how's it tie into marriage? If you look at the church, God is constantly trying to convince the church that he's trustworthy, that he's safe. And in marriage, the wife can't even give you the love that you desire from her until you make her feel safe. It doesn't work the other way around. The man is literally designed to get that love he needs directly from the Father. We are not designed to get that love and that safety like the primary way. And so I had the epiphany. I was like, the same way that I can't trust the Lord until I feel safe is the same way my wife can't trust me until she is convinced that I'm safe. Yeah. So I've spent my 2 years, I said, Mike, I don't know how to explain to you, but I'm like, my mission is to make that woman feel safe and to look for my safety in him. I believe that's literally how it's designed. I think it's designed for women as well, but I also think that a woman is able to receive that love from her husband and God both. Yeah. But primarily, I was just like, man, it was like it unlocked something different. My wife just got through telling me 3 weeks ago. She was like, babe, I trust you with my life. You make me feel safe. I've never seen you live like this before. Your integrity, I trust what you're doing. I trust you are. You make me feel safe. I want to submit to you because I know that you are submitted to the Lord and He's taking you where we want to go.
Can I tell you, like we were talking about you on the way up here, and you and Kennedy and your relationship, and I think that was the time where that switch kind of flipped, and Kennedy became like she kind of just opened up, and she was safe. She's been in our house. I love her so much. Like she's incredible. And I think from that conversation on, it changed how I thought about marriage too, and what my wife needs from me. Like that was an impactful I knew exactly where you were going with that.
It was nuts.
That impacted my marriage. Like it impacted how I treat my wife.
It was nuts because that's the thing. I think that's how Heavyweights even came up. It's
It was right after that.
It was it was right after that, because the question I think men are asking is, when it comes to the weight, is how much more weight can I carry? Like I'm trying to juggle, navigate fatherhood, being a man of integrity, business, kids. Like I'm trying to juggle all of that, and you want me to do more. And that was like where the question was. So if a person is asking how much more that I have, I'm tired, that means they're going to go rest somewhere. Yeah. They're fueling up somewhere. They're not fueling up. They're going to a certain place to fuel. For me at that time, I was trying to get that fuel from my wife. Yeah. I'm like, I'm out here working. I'm out here trying to do a bunch of stuff. I'm out here trying to lead people. I'm out all day. Yeah. Love me. And I was seeking her for that. And it was like, the Lord's like, that's not how it goes, bro.
Yeah, that's not it.
It's actually the opposite. You need to make her feel safe. And in doing that, the love that you need is going to come back to you. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's all backwards, man. It's all this upside down kingdom mentality of and we could go on a whole other tangent of like you what you put out, what you give, you will receive. Yeah. And that's not a common phrase that you hear outside of Christian circles. Yeah.
I love, man, just the beauty of your recognition of that and the power in that for you and Kennedy and for Renzo to see that modeled. And just the understanding, I think getting back to kind of a question that you asked earlier is why is there this struggle with trust? And trust in relationships takes time. And so in a culture where everything needs to be quick, we have to have the patience and we have to have the perseverance to build a really strong relationship of trust with our Heavenly Father. And then over time, as the relationships around us see that modeled over and over, then maybe they're growing in their trust and you're growing in your trust with them. And as that happens, I think then you're able to start slowing down because you have your order of operations correct, right? But I love that concept. I love that whole idea of David recognizing after a big mistake, like, okay, according to your steadfast mercy and steadfast love.
That's the marriage vow, right? Like we talked about, like it's the marriage vow is I'm going to love you no matter what. My love is unconditional for you for the rest of my life. Yeah. And so that should be the safety that somebody would feel. It's like, 100%. And I know I screwed up here, but according to your marriage vow to me, you're still going to love me, right?
Yeah. Bro, it's true. Like that's why I kept reading. I'm going to start laughing. I said, this little punk. Yeah. I'm like, you really going to go? But then I'm thinking the perspective of God, and he's like, I mean.
I did say that.
I did say that. and he knew that, like, I'm just like, my Lord. And I think, and see, we can go down this trail, because when we talk about the faith, right? We've been talking about faith throughout this whole context. And I can see somebody on the outside being like, I don't feel the same way you feel about that. I don't understand the same thing you feel about
Well,
that.
and that's kind of where, because I'm thinking about trust in relationships takes time, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously we don't have all the time in the world. So I think that's a great way to kind of like land the plane on this is asking the question of, if someone does have that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think God's heart is for them?
Okay, now hold on. Okay, listen. Okay. I'm gonna try to be real quick. I'm gonna look right in the camera too, so y'all know what's going on. Okay, this Bible right here. Okay, I need you to think about this. This Bible. There are 66 books in this Bible, and the Lord used 40 individuals, aka authors, to communicate who God was to us and to them. I think sometimes we miss this. Okay. Psalm 23, you mentioned earlier. David says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul, leads me down paths of righteousness. Surely goodness and mercy." Like, he says all these things, right? Okay. When Psalm 23 happen, get written down before David experienced it or after he experienced that?
After he experienced all those.
After he experienced it. Did he write down Psalm 23 before or after?
You wrote down it before, correct?
After.
Okay.
After. In other words, the people in the Bible didn't have the Bible.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you? The people in the Bible
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
didn't have the Bible.
Yeah.
So we read it,
Yeah.
but they lived it. So they had to experience it first, and then they wrote about it after.
In real time. I see what
real
you're saying.
time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I'm saying, if I were to, if you were to write something about the Lord, and you were to write Psalm 151, there's only 150, but if you were to write Psalm 151 with your life, what would you write down? What would you say? What would you write down? Because just because we read this faith, yes, it is our faith, but it was theirs. They said God is good. Okay, how did David know? Remember when Saul asked David, he was like, "Hey, you finna go fight Goliath. How do you know you're going to beat him?" Because he tried to give him his armor, and David was like, "Yeah, I can't fit this." And David was like, "Well, when I was a shepherd boy, I used to have to defend my sheep, and there would be lions and tigers and bears, and I'd have to kill them. And the same God that's with me then is the same God that's with me now." He was able to draw strength and conclusion and faith because of how he experienced God in the future. And so it's just like, we can only say so much, but the Lord was made to be experienced. He wasn't made to be. There's a difference between a faith that you've been taught and a faith that's real to you.
That's right.
So to that person, I would just say, the only way for you to get the answer you're looking for is to step into it and experience it yourself. The Bible actually says, do not merely just read the word and so deceive yourselves, but do what it actually says. To read the word and not do it. To hear, see God, and to not do it. To us to say, here are some of the answers, and not do it. The Bible says it's to be like a man who looked at himself in the mirror, walked away from his reflection, and forgot what he looked like.
Yeah.
So to that person, we can convince you all day. We can tell you what's going on, but a faith with the Lord is meant to be experienced.
That's right.
It's not meant to just be heard. And you have to take that step and figure out what it looks like for him to become real to you.
Yeah. And then I love what you said is like the understanding that like David recognized that if he was honest, he looked back and saw how God provided and sustained him.
100%.
And I think that is one thing that you could do. And it's examining your life and even the worst things that ever happened to you or those you loved or those the most painful things is why God's word says he's near to the brokenhearted. Is like, if you really do look back, you can see how well you've made it here still to today. You've made it still here to today. And sometimes I think it's so easy when someone at my gym, when one of my athletes, one of our members is injured, sometimes you feel like the one thing that you can't do, it clouds your mind to recognize the million things you still can. Right? So like, you sprain your ankle, So you can't do box jumps, and you can't do any plyometric type work, but can you still do push-ups? Can you still do sit-ups? Can you still, like sit on a rower or sit on a, stationary bike or whatever? Like there's still a lot of things. And sometimes, I mean, we talk about self-assessment and self-reflection. I mean, I think that's a great place for people, whether you're of faith or not of faith, to do is just examine, really take inventory of where have things gone right, and do it from the perspective of like a curiosity almost of like was God with me in that?
I was gonna say a humble curiosity, right? Like, is it all you're doing that you are still here today? Is it really like because you were able to gut through it? And like sometimes we just have to like grit our teeth and get through
survive in
something.
advance.
Yeah. And that's all well and good, but like, can you humbly look back and reflect and acknowledge where, man, but for the grace of God in that situation, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I have a million of those moments.
I do too.
Oh my gosh.
Hebrews just says the word is alive and active. Like the Lord is alive and active, whether you see him moving or not.
Yeah.
He's there. He is alive. He is living. And man,
Well, dude, we see God's Spirit alive and active in you, and I see that, and I just want to thank you for that, for being you, and for sharing your heart with us and being on to do this today.
Yeah, it's an honor to be your friend, man. It's one of the saddest calls that I got ever was you calling me to tell me you're moving from Springfield. But I'm so glad you did, man. You're killing it, and I'm happy. I'm really glad we get to do this.
Yeah,
here.
and like that, I've been just so happy. I talked about this on the way up here, but like, so to connect, so Tre is your youth pastor.
Yeah, I'm a high school pastor here at Kansas City at Summer Park. Shout out to Summer Park Youth.
Yeah. So my brother Josh, he the very beginning of his music career was a worship leader in the at Summit Park, and now he is currently the worship leader at North Point Church. But what I was saying to Michael on the way up here is it makes my heart so happy because I see very clearly you're just a magnet. God's Spirit in you is very magnetizing to where it draws people in, and you've always had that. And from the first time I talked to you about doing season 7 in our space, and just what you're as a leader, you just have all of these traits that I see God has purposed in you and gifted you with. And I just see so clearly how everything that you've done up until this point was God building that foundation and preparing you. And I know you feel it and you see it so clearly. And sometimes there's like an aversion to it. Like I know with my brother at times he's mentioned that like there's a little bit of an aversion to getting back into doing, leading worship, but you can't run from the calling that God has on your life. And if you would just, like my brother would always talk about, man, I just want to be able to monetize my heart. And isn't that a great prayer for everybody, is like, could I make a living off of the skills and the gifts that you've given me and the passion that you've placed in my heart, And if you just submit that, that'd be a challenge that I would say is like for all of us, is just if you can just submit that and say, God, let me be still enough to hear where you say I need to go, and to walk where you would say for me to travel, with my pursuits, with my finances, with my family. And I'm just proud of you to see you walking in that. And so as sad as it did make me that you were moving up here, it made me really happy to know that you were being obedient to God's call in his direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got men like y'all too. I'm just saying, I tell you guys all the time, you're 34, 33, you almost 40.
I'm 43, but I do
43.
CrossFit, so
Yeah.
that's why I look so
He
dope.
looked young, you know what I'm
No.
saying? You got a little
43.
black don't crack in you, you know what I'm saying? Got a little bit of,
I got that gray coming through though, strong. So.
you know, but it was like, I mean, it's really hard, like, to explain. Like, you guys, both of y'all have individual intangibles that I knew that I needed, that the Lord used to, like, grab onto me. Like, your like, priority, value, people first, brain of, like, being able to, like, see possibilities, see vision, see people. And literally, like, people can say, like we talk about, people can say these are their priorities, but if something were to make you go left or right on your kids or your mission, you're not going to do it and you're not going to care. Like, there's just certain opportunities that you didn't take. There's certain things you didn't let move you. There's certain ways you just didn't go about stuff. And I hadn't seen somebody successful by world standards make decisions that aligned with who they were and it actually be successful. And then you, between you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say your nonchalantness of, like, life, but just like
That's what I've been thinking.
the peace and
You're
the
free,
spirit
you're free and easy.
and the freeness
Yeah.
and how, like, oh my gosh, I can't say you don't care, but you really don't care. Like, not, you know what I'm trying to say, like,
I think in my desire to care about the right things, I don't lose sleep over the things that
at all. And I
Yeah.
was like, can people
Yeah.
really, like, that's where I was talking about, like, do I have to do this? I'm like, this dude, and I'm in here in the, I don't know if it's 20,000. I'm in a 20,000 square foot building right now with all this equipment, all these people.
Yeah.
Everybody trying to talk to him. He's in the Lululemon space, and he really don't care.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't bother him, not in a bad way. He honors it, like, cool, woo, but he's like, he don't care. I'm like, how do you get that?
I got to it by caring about it and realizing that it didn't fulfill me. And then, yeah.
Well, there you go, right there.
That's the wilderness.
So I'm just like,
Yeah.
those two things, because I've seen it. Because the Lord has always used exposure to me in my life to show me where He wants to take me. And He's used people, situations, places that I haven't been in or that I thought about to show me that this was possible. Yeah. And He used that with both of y'all. Like, yeah, you can actually move with integrity and character and care about the right things and actually work. And honestly, the things that you don't have to care about things you don't want to care about. You could actually care about things that matter to you and matter to me and that please me, and you will live in freedom. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And so, if anything, I am a fruit of seeds that y'all deposited, whether you knew you were depositing them or not.
No, I think all of this is that, like, I give you all the credit in the world for making this happen. Wouldn't be here without you. So,
Thank you, brother.
Honest to goodness.
Love you, man. Love you guys. This is a good one.
You too.
It's good.
It's a good one.
All right.
We'll have to do it again.
Got you. I'm ready. Hey, let's go get some popcorn.
Yeah.
Let's do it.